Okay. All right, everyone. I'm back after watching the complete season one of Warrior Nun. I am back to talk about the series. So let me just do this. I'll stop something real quick. Nope. All right. Okay. So where should I start? I don't like to write stuff down. So Warrior Nun. Where should I start? This series was really good. Definitely a call. Like there's so much to get into this series. So where should I start? We have Ava, aka Eve, which is just another name. So I believe I said so. All right, let's just talk about the story first. So Ava comes back from the dead. She gets a circle on her back. I talked about what does the circle represent? Enlightenment, zero. Um, the circle is a symbol for enlightenment. The circle is complete. The circle is the symbol for the fool, which is the closest to God because he is empty. You saw that Ava was definitely the fool throughout the whole series. She knew nothing of the material world because of how she was, you know, paralyzed and shit. And then you see she learned as she's coming into herself. Now, let's get into it. This how you know. This how you know they be putting shit in it. The only black character that had a main role was Mary. Why did they name this girl Mary? And why was the black girl named Mary? Do you know why? Because she is the Black Madonna. The Black Madonna. Mary and Madonna is the same thing. So they put the Black Madonna in this series, and the Black Madonna is very close to the Warrior Nun. The Black Madonna is kind of like Jesus and Mary. So, when I saw that, I was like, they know what they're doing. Another thing that they did was they all the nuns had on black. We know that clothing represents melanin. So it was interesting that all the warrior nuns stayed having all black. Okay, people will say it wasn't black, it was a dark blue. But when you're dealing with blue, dark blue, black, or green, these are symbols for melanin. Melanin, chlorophyll, same thing. Chlorophyll's green, melanin is a darkness, but they both absorb frequencies. Um, so they had these nuns dressing in all of this. All right. So you had the Black Madonna helping Ava. What I tell y'all before I finish the series, didn't I say it was going to be Lilith versus Ava? That's what happened. But what's beautiful is that Lilith in the show, she died. She came back to life. It's almost as if Lilith was a alternative form of Christ consciousness, but yet she was very, you would say that she was the other dualistic form of Christ consciousness. So she like transformed into this like warrior demon pretty much, or like warrior nun demon, having like this kind of like this like lower nature kind of a enlightenment symbol she gained. Now let's talk about the demon in the show. The demon in the show that wasn't really the main antagonist. I'm looking up the name for the demon now. Hold on. Um, Let me see. So while I find the name for the demon, I know his name is like Tarask or something like that. Um, let's look up like there was a character. The first warrior nun was called Ariella or Ariella. So I don't want to say it's almost like areola, but that's kind of like how they pronounced it. Um, Whatever distractions. So when I looked up the name of areola, it means for that name area, whatever, it means life and also means vesica Pisces. So it means not only life but light. It means knowledge. So it's interesting that this first warrior nun, Ariella, was the one who initiated the consciousness. Um, Now, another thing I wanted to show that this symbol, what was in this show, like I said, when they do these symbols, when they put these symbols in these shows, what they're doing is that they're programming the consciousness, they're programming everyone to believe and think a certain way by pushing ideologies and entertainment. Now, them keep on pressing quantum physics with spirituality is what they're really doing is that they're trying to build a bridge in understanding for the people, for the common folks who do not understand quantum. Now, I would say, so, all right, so before we get into that, this is the symbol that I saw a lot in the show. So I know I didn't draw it right, but it's basically like a circle with another circle with a cross into it. So when you're dealing with the crossroads, when you're dealing with a cross, the cross, the cross in indigenous cultures, the cross for like voodoo practices, what they all represent is the intersection between the planes. And then what people would do is that um, they will leave stuff offering at the crossroads, at the crossroad for a messenger or the messenger to receive their message and give it to the higher planes. Now, that symbol for Earth is also this. That is the symbol for Earth. So they said it many times that this is an earth plane, but there are different frequencies and there are different dimensions on this one plane. So there's one plane of existence, there's one physical plane. How infinite or how large it is up to debate. I don't know. I never been to Alaska. I haven't seen the world from a sky view. People don't know the size of the continents. People don't know, how far the continents are apart. There's so many things that are being questioned about the actual physical composition of our world. So who knows? But what does seem common that on this plane there are different dimensions that exist on the plane. So when we have something like that, and in that symbol, it's interesting that the church is using that symbol and they put a cross over it. What this show was interesting is that there was no clear antagonist. There wasn't. You would think that the demon Tarask, I'm really trying to fucking find his name so I can decode it. It was like Tar Tarask, whatever. I'm trying to. Let me see if this is it. Right. Okay. Yeah, I found it. Found it. Okay. So this is cool. So Taras, that's what they named this demon as. So when you go look up the name for the Taras, this is what you find out. A melanated man. A melanated man. So what this show is what what is interesting is that Christianity, in order for it to be successful in Europe, it had to demonize their pagan religions. It had to demonize their they had to make a demon out of something. They had a they and so what they put they put fear and sinfulness on what was useful and practical and organic to them, and gave them something that can be used to control the masses. Now, what is interesting that this Taras demon is was melanated. It's a melanated image of it, and it's a dragon. It's a dragon from southern France, and it was tamed by Saint Martha Mars. So it was tamed by a very warrior, holy energy. So when you are seeing how Europe and the church had had to conquer this kind of mindset, this kind of energy through war and through religion, and the fact that it's a dragon, like a dragon, a serpent, feathered serpent, dragon hybrid bird, is is so easy to see sometimes. This all represents serpent wisdom, enlightenment. Serpent wisdom, enlightenment, and true connection to the natural matrix of what was created of the earth plane. Not in this fake matrix of heaven and hell, binary duality type of good and evil. So you have the church itself being an enemy at the end of the series, still at war with this indigenous energy, this indigenous melanated earth frequency energy. Now, that is literally you seeing all white characters except Black Mary going to war with this energy. Now, let me hit you with a twist now. What I liked about the Black Madonna was that you saw that the Black Madonna was not like the other nuns. She did not have to follow the rules. She did not have to do all the nun shit. And they kind of hint at it that she may also have been in love with the warrior number four. So again, make sure y'all fucking know that. I don't know if there's any other channels saying this, but y'all are seeing it. This is the second episode. This is the second series that had used a queer like character, someone who does not follow the correct gender binary rules. She is a masculine, queer, Black Madonna woman who has a special frequency. She is higher up and she is just different. That means that her frequency is different, where she doesn't have to obey the laws of other people. Any higher up being does not obey the laws of the land. If you look at a cop does not obey the laws of the land. So that is a natural order of things. Ranking and frequency and who you are dictate what laws is pushed on you. This woman, Black Madonna, she was not like them. She was definitely queer. They hint at it, queer. She was in love with the other saint, the other nun warrior, and she was different from the rest of them. And the bitch had two fucking shotguns. Like, what's good? And that's that. So we're at 15 minutes right now. So let's get into the ending. Now, Adriel, I believe, was this immortal angel that was trapped at the bottom of the Vatican Church. Now let's get into this this energy of there is something within the earth that is alive. It's not hell. There is an energy within the earth that is awakening. Some people said it is the blood of the ancestors or the people that have died. It's the wars that is coming, or it is the energy of the earth resonating with the indigenous people who came from the earth. There's a lot of mythologies that the first human came from the earth, came out of the ground. So there is this earth-like energy that religion itself is suppressing, this natural frequency, this radiation. So for them to have like this otherworldly, other dimensional creature in the earth trapped, waiting for it to escape its freedom with the destruction of the church is interesting when we're thinking about the time that we live now of, I don't think that was the Vatican catching on fire, but there was another church that caught on fire too. So there is this upheaval of earth-like energy escaping out the ground. Now, Adriel, what was interesting about this character was that the idea of divinity being a moral compass was shattered. And so much so that the divinity of that they projected upon Adriel was the same energy as Tarask, the demon. And do you see it? It's like when you go up consciousness, when you go through higher consciousness of thinking, basically when we say higher, when you really start to unlearn what is outside and go within, the idea of good and evil, right and wrong, woman and men, feminine and masculine starts to fade away, and you starts to sit in the oneness of everything. And when you sit in the oneness, you are quantum. You are quantum. You are open. You are empty. So them having this blue like frequency from the divinium, and then you're having this red like frequency from how they portray the demons and Taras, it actually being interchangeable and the same, it kind of just really showed people, or not really showed people, but I think that what they're really questioning people that, how we project meanings onto things is a human thing, because in reality of it, divinity does not sit in good and evil. Divinity sits in the now, and there's always karmic debt, but even karmic debt does not really fall in line like we think. Like karmic debt is not, it might not necessarily be a circle, because sometimes it might come 3 or 4 generations down the line. Now, I want to end with the Gospel of Thomas. In the Gospel of Thomas, it mentioned many times that the God of Jesus is not a God of salvation, is not a God of peace. It is a God of war, it's a God of destruction, it's a God of fire, it's a God of it's a God of confusion. And within that, if you read the Gospel of Thomas very short, you will see that the whole idea of divinity being this moral attitude of goodness is false. So now at the end of the season, you're just seeing the church versus the warrior nun versus the quantum beings. You're seeing this war between these fractions. You're seeing the Pope be a corrupt, evil being like the Pope always is, you know. and you're seeing the warrior nun, like, just in the midst of the battle, trying to understand, you know, what is going on. And then you're seeing these, like, higher dimensional, non-physical influence onto the world happening. Mm. They really didn't get into, like, what is driving these forces, why are these forces here. It kind of also made me kind of reminiscence of, like, the Anunnaki. It was kind of like there is a substance on this plane that other dimensional beings need. And we hear many, many times of, like, other dimensional beings coming to Earth to mine different materials and stuff like that. But I would say, all in all, like, this is a good series. Like, I would say that there is a lot of symbolism in this show, a whole lot of symbolism in this show. You got the Black Madonna, you got melanated clothing for the nuns. You have the symbol, the pagan symbol for Earth, taken over by the church. But that pagan symbol for the Earth plane is a crossroads of saying that many different dimensional energies can exist on this one plane. And then you have that, and then you have the shattering of duality for higher dimensional divinity creatures. Like, there is no good and evil. There is no dualistic nature. When you rise into consciousness, it is all oneness. It's all the same. So yeah, that's that. Please comment what you think of the show. If you are enjoying me, like, watching series and then breaking them down, leave a suggestion of something that you think I should watch. If I like you, then I won't delete your comment, because there's not gonna be petty. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe.